In this tutorial, I'm going to show you a couple different ways to put images into different shapes, to cut them out, but doing that with new layers so that you don't destroy the original photo. So first of all, I'm going to place an image. I have one of a flower here, if I can find it. Here we go. And there's a nice image. I'm going to hit enter. It's now in its own layer on my document. At this point though, I don't want it to be a square, I want it to be in a circle, so I'm going to use this selection tool, and I have circle selected. I could also select a square if I wanted. And now I'm going to draw a circle around the part I want to keep, and I'm going to hold down shift to make sure that it's a perfect circle. And now I have that selection. Now I'm going to go up to Layer, New, Layer via Copy, and it's going to create a new layer over in my Layers panel. I'll call that Flower Circle 1. And now if I hide the background layer, I have this circle and it looks great. I can go ahead and transform it just like any other layer. I'm going to hold down shift to make sure it keeps its proportions. I'm going to make it little and put it over in the corner here, and that looks exactly the way I want it. But let's say I want another one that has a little bit softer edges, kind of a blur. I can go back, I can turn on my original image. It's still there, nothing happened to it, and I can do this again. I'm going to select another circle, holding down shift to keep it proportional. And now before I make a new layer, I'm going to go up here to select, modify, and feather. There's other effects there as well, and you can try whatever you want. If I want it to just be a little blurry around the edges, I could pick something small, like 5. I'm going to go for something more dramatic and pick 30. So the one thing key before I say, before I make it into new layers, I want to make sure I have that original photo layer selected. So now I have my selection, I'm on my original photo layer, and I'm going to go do the same thing again now. Layer, New, Layer via Copy. And now if I hide the original, I have another version, but you can see that the edges are a lot more blurred because I used that feather effect on the edges before I made a new layer. Whoops. Alright. Again, I'm just going to transform that, holding down shift. Going to put that in the corner. Looks great. And again, I still have my image here that I can do whatever I want with. Let's say I want something a little bit more complex, like a star. I can use these other selection tools that are all up here in the left corner to do different kinds of selections. The lasso tools let you draw around something. You also have things like the magic wand tool if you have a lot of a single color, or the quick selection tool. I'm going to use this kind of this lasso that draws straight lines. And I'm going to draw kind of I want sort of like a diamond kind of thing. So I'm just going to hit, actually maybe I'll do kind of a star. So I'm just going to hit, every time I want to make a point, I'm clicking until I get all the way around my shape and back to the beginning. When I get back to the beginning, it will start doing the little dancing ants glowing thing. Now I'm just going to do exactly the same thing as before. I want to make sure I'm on my original photo layer so that that's what gets cut out. Then I go up to Layer, New, and Layer via Copy. And now I have a version that's in a sort of badly done star. And again, I can transform that and move it wherever I want. Those are the main techniques for doing this. I'm going to show you one other way that is my preferred way because you don't have to keep drawing things over and over. This is a little bit more advanced, and it uses this tool called the pen tool, which is something that's really common in Illustrator, but a lot of times people don't use this in Photoshop as much. I'm going to hide these other layers just so we don't see them while we're doing this. So the thing with the pen tool is that it draws a path. It's going to look like a line to you, but in your image it doesn't really exist. It's kind of like an imaginary line. So I'm going to draw kind of a starburst. Again, this draws straight lines by default, although if you hold down you can also create curves, which is sort of the advanced benefit of the pen tool. But I'm just going to create kind of a little starburst shape here. And now it hasn't started glowing, it's just a complete line. Where I'm going to find this is over in the paths. and it's called work path. I'm just going to call this like sunburst so I remember which one it is. And the thing about that is it's always going to be there. So I can now make this, I can click on this, right click and say make selection, and it will give me the feather option right away. I'm going to say 0 at first, and now it gives me the dancing ants selection. I can go back to the layers panel, again go to layer, new, layer via copy, and there it is. But now what's great is if I decided I wanted to do that again, maybe that exact same shape with a different image, I can go back to my original image and that path is still there. Or maybe this time I want to try it with a feathered effect. So I can still make that selection. This time I'm going to give it a little feather of 10 pixels, and so it made it kind of curvy. And now I can do, again, go back to my layers panel to make sure I'm on the right one, go layer, new, via copy, and now I have kind of a wavy sunburst. So that is a whole bunch of different ways that you can create different shapes out of images without destroying the original.